All right, we're going through the book of Proverbs. Again, I feel this is the most important book in all generations. I mean, I understand the book of Revelations is important because of what's going on in the world, but if you don't have wisdom, it doesn't matter if you know who the Antichrist is, who's Babylon the Great. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you know about heaven and hell and the where Jesus is in relations to God the Father, the Trinity, oneness, modalism. That's all information. If you have all that, but you don't have wisdom, what is the point? This should be a foundational book. And unfortunately, a lot of churches, they don't even go there. They'll just pick verses out like, trust in the Lord with all your heart and, verses like that. But we need wisdom. And in the first 9 chapters in the book of Proverbs, it lays down the groundwork for the importance of wisdom. It explains why wisdom is important. So when we approach the rest of the scriptures, we have that mindset. Because if you have the wrong mindset, then you're just going to read it and you're not going to apply it, or it's not going to be wisdom. It's just going to be knowledge. All right. So with that, let's start in verse 1. Hear, O sons, a father's instruction. Now Solomon is talking to his sons here. So he's telling his sons to hear him. And be attentive, all right? Be attentive. That means listen carefully. Don't just hear, but listen, that you may gain insight. All right, verse 2. For I give you good doctrine, all right? The thing is, we don't want just doctrine, because when you go to the church, you get doctrine. What you want is good doctrine. What is good doctrine? It means that if you believe something, it could withstand the whole of the scriptures. A lot of false teaching, a lot of bad doctrine is based on a verse here, a verse there. As they say, here a little and there a little. That's the way they make up their doctrine. Here a little, there a little, but they ignore this verse or that verse. Or if they try to address this verse and that verse, it just sounds off. We don't want just doctrine. We want good doctrine. For I give you good doctrine. Forsake ye not my law. So we should not forsake God's laws. Now, if you're a Jew, you should keep the law of Moses. If you're a Gentile, we got to walk in the Spirit. Both Jews and Greeks should walk in the Spirit. The law of liberty, the law of Christ. Verse 3. When I was a son with my father. So now this is Solomon's talking. He's talking about his father David. When I was a son with my father, tender, the only one in the sight of my mother. So I guess Solomon only had, he was the only child of Bathsheba. Verse 4. He taught me and said to me, so this is what David told Solomon. Let your heart hold fast my words. So he said, look, I'm speaking, don't hear me, but listen to me. Hold fast. Don't just think I'm just talking and you're zoning out, looking at the sky. Let your heart hold fast my words. Keep my commandments and live. All right. Now I put Romans 6:23 because it says, for the wages of sin is death. See, if you break the laws of God, that equals death. But if you keep the laws of God, then you will live. So that's a choice you got to make. Are you going to keep the commandments of God and live? Or are you going to break the laws of God and sin and die? Verse 5. Get wisdom, get understanding. So in other words, wisdom is something you got to get. You got to make an effort for it. It doesn't fall on your lap. You don't get it through osmosis. It just doesn't come to you all of a sudden. You got to get it. Get wisdom, get insight. Insight means you get better understanding. Do not forget. So don't forget. Once you get it, don't start forgetting. Don't forget. And do not turn away from the words of my mouth. Again, David's trying to tell his son Solomon, don't forget it. Don't forget my words either. Get wisdom, get understanding, and don't forget the words, because what he's telling him is wisdom. Verse 6. Do not forsake her. He's talking about wisdom. Do not forsake her, implying that you could forsake wisdom. You could say, I don't want to be wise anymore. So don't forsake her, and she will keep you. She will keep you in the right path if you don't forsake her. Love her, and she will guard you. So wisdom will guard you if you love wisdom. If you have like you like wisdom, wisdom is not going to guard you. You got to love wisdom. Verse 7. Wisdom is the principal thing. All right? That's one thing you got to realize. The most important thing is wisdom. It's not healthy diet. It's not healthy body. It's not, finances that are, astronomical. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. I mean, if it's the most important thing, you should get it. And with all thy getting, get understanding. It says, and with all thy getting, that means, look, we all want to get stuff. We want to get the latest shoes, latest clothes. He's saying, look, with all thy getting, that means with all your might, get understanding, all right? Because wisdom is information. Understanding is applying it. So get understanding. That's the most important thing. He says it's the principal thing, all right? Verse 8. Prize her highly. Right? David's telling Solomon this. Prize wisdom highly. More than your wife, more than your possessions, you got to prize wisdom. So that means you got to ask yourself, am I prizing wisdom highly? Or is this something, my dad tells me to do, or it's part of our culture? You got to reflect and ask yourself, are you prizing wisdom highly? And she will exalt you. Wisdom will exalt you to places that you never thought you would be. You'll get promotion. And we're going to read why in a little bit. But this is what wisdom will do. She will honor you if you embrace her. So she will give you honor too. People will look at you and say, you know what, that's an honorable man right there. I honor him. That's what wisdom will do for you. On the opposite hand, foolishness is disgrace. You'll get disgraced, as we read last week. Verse 9. Remember last week it said, shame shall be the promotion of fools, but wisdom will give you honor. All right? Verse 9. She will place on your head a graceful garland. Wisdom will put like a garland around your head, a graceful garland. In other words, what does that mean? So we're going to get something around our head that looks graceful? No. It talks about when you get wisdom, you will be so graceful that people say, man, that's that guy, he's so graceful. That woman, she is so graceful. You ever met somebody that's graceful? You just love them because they're just full of grace. Like the angel told Mary, Hail Mary, full of grace. You'll be full of grace. You'll have a garland of grace. A crown of glory shall she deliver to thee. Wow, that's a powerful statement. Because remember, this is David talking to Solomon. David is a king. And yet David said, look, wisdom is going to give you a crown, a glorious crown. I have a crown. I said clown. I have a crown, and yet wisdom is going to give you a crown even better than this crown that I have on my head. That should be something, that's how David viewed wisdom, and that's how he's exhorting his son. And that's the way we should view wisdom. That it's going to give us a crown of glory, a glorious crown, a crown. Ugh, for some reason, I keep saying crown. Verse 10. Hear my son and accept my words. So he's telling him, look, pay attention, please, that the years of your life may be many. Wisdom will give you long life. It will give you many years. The way of a fool, it'll cut off his life, but you will have many years. Verse 11. I have taught you the way of wisdom. I have led you in the path of uprightness. So this is David speaking to his son saying, look, I've led you. I've tried my best to guide you in the right path. I taught you all the right way, the way of wisdom. So he's done his job. David's done his job. Verse 12. When you walk, your steps will not be hampered. So in other words, when you're going through life, if you have wisdom, you'll still be going down the right path. And it said this, and if you run, you will not stumble. Okay, so what does that mean? What's the difference between walking and running? Walk means you're just going through everyday life, and because you have wisdom, you will not be hampered. But sometimes in life, there's going to be times where you got to make a quick decision. And if you don't have wisdom, you're going to make the wrong decision. But even in those times where you got to make a quick decision, you will not stumble because you have wisdom. You know, you'll be in a situation, you'll be like, oh, wait, no. Like, for example, some woman might come up to you and say, hey, it was a great conversation. You want to come down my place and talk some more? Your wisdom be like, nope, because you have wisdom. You'll run. You say, nope. You don't need to think about it because wisdom is in you. Now, if you don't have wisdom, you'll be like, no, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe later on. Is it okay? If you run, you will not stumble. Verse 13. Keep hold of instructions. Do not let go. In other words, you have the instructions, but don't let it go. Don't start letting it slide out of your memory. Don't let it slide because society tells you, those are the old ways. This is a new way. Keep hold of instructions. Do not let it go. Guard her, for she is your life. Instructions are your life. It's not your husband. It's not your kids. It's not your career. The thing that is your life is instruction. She is your life. When you have that mentality, this is my life, then you'll keep hold of her. Okay? Verse 14. Do not enter the path of the wicked. Do not walk in the way of the evil. So don't go down the path of wicked people. Because sometimes we look at their ways and they're prospering and everybody admires them. They get honored too, and we're like, wow, maybe I should go down that path. Do not enter the path of the wicked and do not walk in the way of the evil. Avoid it. In other words, when you see people that are doing evil, walking the wrong path, avoid it. Don't be like, well, it looks kind of fun. They are kind of cool. Avoid it. Do not go on it. Turn away from it and pass on. So when you avoid it, he's saying keep walking by it. Don't even bother. Do not enter the path of the wicked. Next verse, 16. And this is why. For they, the wicked, for they cannot sleep unless they have done wrong, and they are robbed of sleep unless they have made someone to stumble. That's how the wicked are. Yeah, they cannot sleep until they wake up and say, okay, I got to do something wrong today. And even worse, they cannot go back to sleep unless they make somebody who's not doing wrong stumble. And if you're walking in wisdom, they want to make you stumble. They want to make you fall. And this is why. For they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. Now, what does that mean? They have like a cup and they drink violence and wickedness. No. In John 4:34, Jesus said this. Jesus said to them, my food is to do the will of him who sent me and to accomplish his work. So Jesus' food was to do the will of him who sent him and to accomplish his work. The food of the wicked is that they eat the bread of wickedness and they drink the wine of violence. So my question to you is, what is your diet going to be? Are you going to eat the food my food is to do the will of him who sent me and accomplish work? Or are you going to eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence? You choose. It's your choice. All right. Next verse, 18. But the path of the righteous is like the light of dawn, which shines brighter and brighter until the full day. So it reminds me of, sunrise when the sun's coming up and you see like the light crack a little bit and then gets bigger. The light gets bigger and bigger, then it starts shining brighter and brighter. That's how the path of the righteous are. And it says that which shine brighter and brighter until the full day. In Matthew 5:14, Jesus said that you are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. But the question is, are you going to be a bright light like this light here? Or are you going to be a dim light? And the thing is, in this verse, it says that it shines brighter and brighter until the full day. So the more wisdom you get, the more brighter and brighter and brighter, like this light, it grows. But that's the thing. You got to desire wisdom so you could shine brighter. It's not just enough to say, I am the light of the world, and you're one of those little Christmas lights. No, your desire should be, I'm the light of the world. I'm a nuclear explosion. But you don't get that overnight. You gotta. It has to shine brighter and brighter until the full day. All right, verse 19. The way of the wicked is deep darkness. That's what the King James says. That the way of the wicked is not only darkness, it's deep darkness. That's the way of the wicked. You know, when you're walking down the wicked path, you get darker and darker. Unlike the way of the righteous, which shines brighter and brighter, the way of the wicked is deep darkness. You know, acts a sinner who's been sinning and rebelling against God, has no fear of God, no reverence of God, doesn't want nothing to do with God. Just examine their life from when they were 20 to 30 to 40. You see they're getting darker and darker. The way of the wicked is deep darkness. They do not know over what they stumble. You know, the imagery here is like you're walking at night in a dark room and you're tripping over stuff. You don't even know what you tripped over. See, a wicked man, he'll say, man, I don't know why people don't like me. I don't know why I can't get a job. I don't know why, my wife and kids don't want nothing to do with me. But they take alcohol, they drink, they use drugs, they're very mean. The answer's right in front of their face, but because they don't know what they stumble, they're in deep darkness. They don't even know why they're in the situation they're in. That's how dark their past is, that they can't even figure out, man, the reason why I'm in this situation, I got to get out. No, they're like, man, I can't get a job, man. I don't understand. Well, maybe if you stop getting high or stop being a thief, maybe you could get a job. But it's society, man. It's the man. It's the man that's holding me. No, it's you that's holding yourself down. But they don't even know. They do not know over what they stumble. Next verse, 20. My son, be attentive to my words. So don't just hear, pay attention. Incline your ear to my sayings. In other words, your ear wants to hear things, want to hear music, want to hear the latest things that are happening. No, you got to incline your ear and say, you know what, ear, I'm going to incline my ear to these sayings. Verse 21. Let them not escape from your sight. In other words, again, you might start to forget things. You might start to not remember. It'll start escaping your mind. You ever heard people always use that phrase, it escaped my mind. Knowledge and wisdom and insight could escape your mind, but you gotta how do you not let it escape your mind? You gotta keep reading your word. You gotta keep remembering. You gotta, be around things and people that will keep you in remembrance of those things. Keep them within your heart, right? So what's the heart? Because Jesus said you gotta love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and spirit. Your heart are the center of your emotions. So he's saying, don't just keep them in your mind. It should be in your heart. It should affect your emotions too. That's how deep wisdom should get into. Verse 22. For they are your life. For they are life to those who find them, and healing to all their flesh. So they are life. Remember, early on, David said that it will add to you many years. But here, Psalm is saying that, that they are life to those who find them and healing to all your flesh. Wisdom gives you healing because you have done many foolish things in your life. And now because you're walking in wisdom, wisdom is going to start to heal your flesh that was being destroyed by your foolishness. Let's just say you were drinking alcohol. Now you got wisdom and you realize I cannot be a drunkard. Now all of a sudden your liver starts to heal. You stop smoking, your lungs start to get better. You stop being a glutton, you start losing weight. Wisdom will heal all your flesh too. Verse 23. Keep thy heart. Remember, Heart is emotions. Keep thy heart with all diligence. So you got to keep your heart with all diligence. You got to be aware that your heart might lead you in a certain path. So you got to keep your heart. You got to don't be dictated by your emotions. So you got to keep your heart. And let me say this, a lot of believers, they are led by their heart and they fall into many bad situations. Oh, I'm just lonely. Oh, this guy likes me. Yeah, he doesn't love Jesus, but I don't care. I just want to be with somebody. Keep thy heart, your emotions, with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. The reason why there are a lot of issues is because a lot of people are led by their emotions. They're not led by wisdom. If you're led by wisdom, you won't have any issues in your life. You'll be like, okay, I'm going down the right path. But if you are led by your emotions, you're going to have a lot of issues. So keep your heart, your emotions with all diligence. Verse 24. Put away from you crooked speech and put devious talk from you. So in other words, don't talk, lies or crooked speech, perverted speech. Whether it be perverted in sexuality, perverted in doctrine, stay on the right path. Verse 25. Let your eyes look directly forward and your gaze be straight before you. So in other words, you just like a soldier, you just go straight ahead. You don't look to your right or ahead, your left or right. You just look straight ahead. Keep your eyes looking directly forward. Don't start looking forward at wisdom. You're looking forward at wisdom. Keep your eyes there and your gaze be straight before you. Don't be looking straight and all of a sudden, let me peek over here. No, keep your eyes straight. Verse 26. Ponder the path of your feet. That word ponder means you got to consider the path of your feet. That means you got to really make sure that the path you're going is the right path. Don't assume, don't guess. You got to really question if the path you're going in is the right path. Ponder the path of your feet, then all your ways will be sure. Then you will be okay if you pondered the path of your feet with wisdom. Okay, verse 27. Do not swerve to the right or to the left. Turn your foot away from evil. So don't swerve. Don't be like, okay, I'm going straight, but I'm going to start heading this way a little bit. No, or I'm going to go to the left. No, do not swerve to the right or to the left. Turn your feet from evil. So if you are doing evil, get away from it. Because as we're going to keep reading through the book of Proverbs, that might lead you on the path to death. Turn away from evil. I believe that's the last verse, correct? So with that, we'll continue on through the book of Proverbs. I love this chapter because it was David. We sometimes we read the book of Proverbs and it doesn't hit us, but then you realize, oh snap, this is David speaking to Solomon. And David was trying to give Solomon wisdom even before he asked God. And he was telling him the benefits and the negative if you don't get wisdom. And like I said, these first 9 chapters are setting the groundwork before we get into the sayings. So we got to get the right mindset that they are life. They're health to your bones. They'll, guide you. But there's things you got to do. You got to look forward. You got to keep your path, your foot in the right path. So don't just think I got in. That's it. You got to make sure you keep it. Do not let it escape from you. So with that, we'll end today. And that's it. So we'll continue next week. Amen.